church and gave a, well, I hope it was an enjoyable Can't hear any music, but that's okay, isn't it? Okay. Hello, I'm Michelle Paver and we're going out live. Welcome to July's edition. Sorry, I've been away for a bit too long, but I've got a good excuse. I have been busy writing. And on that, I'm very pleased to say that, as I think some of you may know, I have actually some time ago delivered the first of the 3 sequels to the Wolf Brothers series, to my wonderful publisher and editor, Fiona. Fiona, if you're watching, hi. We've been hard at work on the editing and we're now down to the sort of tweaking stage. And as again, some of you may know that it's coming out, The Viper's Daughter, in April next year, beginning of April in the UK. But I thought before I get on to the social media roundup and answering your questions, I'd just sort of mention a bit about what it is I do apart from writing books. Because some of you may not know, I didn't know when I first started writing. And I have been really busy, but I haven't done that much writing because apart from taking account of Fiona's very useful comments to make The Viper's Daughter even better than it is already, there have been things like sorting out the cover. We're still not quite there yet, but we're getting there with the wonderful designer of the original covers, John Fordham. There's the blurb. How do you summarize the story? What quotes do you put in the flyleaf? There are other things as well, and they take a lot of my time. Things like the style sheet. Now, what's that? Well, that's, you probably know if you've read the Chronicles of Ancient Darkness, there's lots of sort of things like deer hide. Is it hyphenated or not hyphenated? Is there a capital letter for wolf? Isn't there? This actually runs to 10 pages of detailed listings of that, so that people like my editor and copy editor can correct the story and make sure it's all consistent. Then there's things like the chapter illustrations. Jeff Taylor, who did the amazing chapter pictures for each of the Wolf Brother books, he's doing them again for The Viper's Daughter. And so I've done a list, which runs into about 35 chapters, I think, for The Viper's Daughter, giving him alternatives of what he might want to choose for each one. I won't show you the front page because it's got a summary of the story, but that's the second page. It's got things like a white raven, croaking, perched or flying. I always give him a few alternatives. It's got another chapter has wolf staring crossly at Torak. Another one says 1 or more musk oxen on tundra, looking formidable. All that's got to be written. Then there are the maps. You may remember the maps in the end papers. Well, I have to do a sort of sketch map of the next bit. I think I announced at Hay that The Viper's Daughter is set mostly in the far north. So I had to do a sketch of the far north as it comes up into the story. I don't think there are any on that. And that turns it into the most beautiful maps. Apart from that, there's the Wakenhurst paperback cover, which we'll be talking about later in social media. There's various little bits of PR, and then there's various mystery things I can't tell you about, as well as making a start on writing what I call Book 8, because I haven't quite yet got a title yet, which is the second of the 3 sequels. So you can see I have been quite busy. Also, it's the blackberry season in England, so I've just started picking blackberries. So there we are. Now, to celebrate having almost finished the first sequel, The Viper's Daughter, I thought you might like a special sort of Wolf Brothery quiz with some rather nice prizes. So let me show you the prizes we've got. Oh yes, here we are. Oh, beautiful. There's a special 10th anniversary edition limited edition of the original Wolf Brother series, book rather. Yours may be a bit tatty, but here's a beautiful new one, which I will, of course, sign. We've got some rather splendid bits of Wolf Brother memorabilia, some of which I haven't actually seen myself. Oh, no, I think I do remember now. Yeah. And we've got an original omnibus edition of the three final books in the Chronicles series. Well, that's the three final books, Outcast, Oathbreaker, and Ghost Hunter. But of course, that's before the next three, which I'm writing. So how do you win them all? I'm going to have to read this bit. I shall be asking 3 questions tonight in the Wolf Brother quiz at various times. And if you don't know the answer, don't panic. That's fine. You've got 10 days to do some research and then email the right answer. And I'll ask the first question in a couple of seconds. So it's not one of those things where, as before, where you have to be really quick off the mark, because what we'll do is we'll select we'll select at random from the winning answers, from the correct answers, once that 10 days has elapsed. So you'll have time. So there we are. We've got we're coming up to the first question to win that 10th anniversary edition of Wolf Brother. How do you win it? You send an email to quiz@michellepaver.com with the right answer. That's quiz@michellepaver.com. You can see that down below, with the right answer. And the question is, what did Torak's dying father make him swear to do? Or what does Torak's dying father make him swear to do? If you've got the right answer, send it to quiz@michellepaver.com. And if you're not sure, you've got 10 days. 2 more questions are coming up later, but let's have a look at the social roundup. It's been quite busy because, as some of you will know, that Wakenhurst, my Gothic novel, has done rather well. It's been hit the number 4 position in the Amazon Kindle charts a few days ago, and we've got a lovely paperback cover because the paperback edition is coming out on the 14th of November. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. It's been making quite a stir because the elves have posted the 2 covers side by side, the hardback and the paperback. They're quite different. This often happens, and I think it's a really nice thing. We've had lots of very positive comments. Vivienne thinks the new is stunning. Thank you very much. Yes, that was 2 days ago. My original tweet, actually, asking for your views, got 234 likes. Which is, I think, the most any of my tweets have had. So obviously lots of you like judging covers, and I can understand why. I think it's a fun pastime. Let's see. Sorry about the shuffling, but I get these things on paper. There are lots of quite artistic people on Instagram, and someone very erudite, models from scratch, has deconstructed all the symbols on the cover. Byzantine origins, pentagrams, of course, the inverted Peter Ryan cross. Personally, I all of that is fascinating. I particularly like the red sort of upside down bird. I love the hands. I like the heraldic, I think they're eels, sort of medieval weird eels. I really like those. And I like the house as well. And I think it looks suitably and spooky with the full moon and the little white bird perched on the gravestone. I think that's a lovely touch. Kay on Facebook likes the one on the left a lot. The one on the right is magical with the promise of otherworldliness. I would buy this even if I didn't know what was going on inside. Well, that's kind of the role of a cover, which is actually why authors are the worst judges of covers of their own books, because they know exactly what's going on in the cover. Not everyone likes it, obviously, that's fair enough. Becky prefers the original hardback design. Story Magic also likes the magpie, it's more striking. And there does seem to be a bit of a trend for flowery patterns. You're absolutely right. Like to see a cover based on the Wenneston Doom. We did think about that. Evil Devils, I don't know, it made it almost look like a history book. A textbook. So did Stained Glass Windows. We went down that route. We tried a lot, but good suggestion. Katrina, likes the detail on the paperback, but the text on the hardback is more interesting, and she likes magpies. Fair enough. So does Sarah. Heraldic Gothic look, but also the magpie. Yvonne has the hardback and loves it, and likes the texture of the dust cover. My publishers will be pleased because they put a huge amount of work into these things, and they are perfectionists. Jane thinks it's a great cover, but also loves the magpie. Alv Ringer loves magpies, but really loves the composition of the paperback. Yes, I agree. I think, and that was straight off. The designer got it straight off. You know, it hasn't changed. Just a beautiful. Well, I don't know if he did it straight off, but that was the first one I saw, and it was absolutely beautiful. A lot of people thought the paperback design was gorgeous, like Sarah and Thomas and Anna and Joe, stunningly creepy. Thank you, Pint-Sized Farmer, for also being creeped out. A couple of people said, you know, Cogito Books is going to buy the paperback as well as the hardback. Yes, that's what we want. And Joe agrees. So there we go. I mean, thank you for everybody who's responded. There's always lots happening on my social media. So choose which one you most like and get connected. The links are up on the screen now. I'm not going to read that lot out. Thank you, Elf, for putting the links up. Okay, now here's the second Wolf Brother quiz question. Are you ready? Yes, this is for the collection of wolf memorabilia. Yes, now what have we got? A postcard from, that was Torak the wolf when he was 4.5 months old, which was about the same age as Wolf at the end of Wolf Brother. And I was in Waterstones in Oxford Street with him, and he was being very good. Well, he'd just sort of taken a chunk out of my copy of Soul Eater. And then there's wristbands with clan symbols embossed on them, and 5 badges from the original clan website, and a mini Wolf Brother poster, and I can sign things for you as well. All this can be yours if you can email me the answer to this question in the next 10 days. What's the name of the object which the Soul Eaters seek and which would allow them to control demons? Not very hard. Okay, well, if you've got it, but you need to check, you have 10 days, and then you can email it to quiz@michellepaper.com. And now it's time to answer some of your questions. If I can just fling those over there and grab your questions. Now, here, first of all, I mean, a lot of them are about Chronicles of Ancient Darkness, the Wolf Brother books. Julie, actually, this was just a lovely one. It was lovely to meet you at Hay this morning. Thank you for coming and sharing with us. Looking forward to the new book. Yes, there we are. Thank you for that, Julie. Tinu. Now this is a spoiler before we show this. If you haven't read Spirit Walker, the second book, have a look at this and don't listen. But if you have, you can. Tinu really loves the Chronicles of Ancient Darkness. Will we ever get prequels for them? I found this a very interesting one. I'd love more information on the Soul Eaters, a bit more into their lives before they became Soul Eaters. They were such interesting characters. I'd like to know how they developed. And I have a soft spot for Tenris. Yes, Tinu, so do I. You know, prequels never really interest me, but never say never. And I think if I were to do prequels, that would be the sort of area which would be very interesting because, yeah, I found them quite interesting too. So thank you for that. Vanessa Myers, you are my favourite author since I found you in my grade school library. I'm 22 now and I still love you. I cried when Chronicles of Ancient Darkness ended. Please, I beg of you, get the series made into films. Well, we are trying, but, you know, we've had various film deals. So far, they haven't really come to fruition. You never know. So all I can say at the moment is the moment anything really happens on that, you will hear it on my website, michellepaper.com, which incidentally is where you need to ask me questions. I don't have email myself, but go to michellepaper.com, click on /ask, and then that's it. There we are. So I will get the questions, and I know I'm aware of there are some questions that have been coming in from people who've been asking things. How far along are you with a new Chronicles of Ancient Darkness book? Well, very far, almost finished. It's coming out next April. Love your book, says Dylan Ledsham. Peter Gerding, Wolf Brother is my favourite book. Christian Ross, I really loved each of your novels. Thank you. Someone is thinking enthusiast. What would be the life expectancy of wolf? Well, generally wolves in the wild live to about sort of 11 or 12 if they're lucky. Wolf is special, so he'll live a bit longer. I think that's all. We'll go into that one. We don't want to dwell on that. And Martha P. has made a documentary at the UK Wolf Trust, and Torak was in it and was very shy and hid behind his mate Mosey most of the time. Yes, he does tend to do that. He's not really shy. He's just retiring, like his name. Now, I better go on with the questions that were emailed in. Liam Edwards, absolutely adore Chronicles of Ancient Darkness, rereading them right now. He's at Aberystwyth University. Have you got any plans to go to Wales? I don't know, Liam. The publishers, Head of Zeus, who will be publishing The Viper's Daughter in April, are currently putting together my publicity tour, so it's in their hands. And as soon as I know, what the schedule is, it will be up on my website and on my Facebook page, I should think, as well. But that won't be for a couple of months yet, because it takes quite a lot of time. Now we have, oh yes, this is an interesting one from Angie. And this is a slightly annoying one, I think, not from you. I mean, not annoyed by you, Angie. I'm really glad that you got in touch. How can I get the audio versions of Spirit Walker and Soul Eater? The others are available on audio, but I've looked everywhere but can't find them. I'm horrified by this, and I'm really glad you got in touch, Angie. I think the quick answer is lobby or email Hachette Children's Books and or Orion, because it's up to them. These things should be available. They're acclaimed recordings by Ian McKellen, and I'm horrified. I will also be taking it up with them. But I think if you can't, that's who you need to get in touch with. Anyone else who can't, please do so, or any of the books. But also let us know, because we're keeping a log of that. Moving on to more cheerful things, Miranda, do you know I'm a spirit walker like Total? I think you mean Torak, and can speak wolf. Well, congratulations. Can I meet you one day? Again, keep an eye on my website and we'll post up any events that I'm doing. Is it possible if I can meet Wolf? Well, not really, because he's in the story. But I'm sure there are. You can visit a wolf sanctuary and see a wolf by all means. Now we go to Amber, who did a video question. Maybe we can just play that. That's probably the best thing.
Michelle, my name is Amber, and I noticed that you were born in Central Africa. I was born in South Africa, and I was just wondering if you got the idea of Tukaroths from the Tokoloshi. The Tokoloshi are a South African myth. It's about a demon who is about the shape of a child. People who still believe in the Tokoloshi prop their beds up with bricks so that the Tokoloshi can't get to them because they're so short. But I was just wondering if you got Tukaroth from the Tokoloshi. Kind regards, and I hope the Tokoloshi doesn't get you.
Oh, I love it. Thank you, Amber. Yeah, you're spot on. I was born in Nyasaland, which is now Malawi, and we used to just call them Tokolosh. But yes, and I think it's a belief that is widespread. I was pretty scared of them growing up. I think because my mother, who didn't believe in pulling her punches, told me that some people believed that they really existed because some witch doctors in some remoter parts of Nyasaland tried to make them by sort of kidnapping a child and bringing them up in an atmosphere of evil. And there were all sorts of horrible stories about how they did that. So yeah, that's very much where I got the idea. There is something terrifying about something small and evil. As you'll see, I sort of changed it to suit the story, but that's very much how I went about writing the Wolf Brother books. So well spotted. And thank you for the wishes to keep me safe from Tokoloshi. Moving on to Chris now, a more serious one. He's writing on behalf of his oldest son, who's now 21 and read Wolf Brother 10 years ago, and reread them. And your son has struggled with mental health issues and self-esteem, and I'm really sorry to hear that. I haven't, but I have close members of my family who have for many years. Happily now are sort of have learnt coping strategies, but I have seen it secondhand how difficult that can be for the whole family and for them in particular. The books have been a bright spot of hope for him, perhaps a reminder of happier times. You'd like a mailing address, and I'd love to have a letter from him, and we'll write back. The best thing to do is to write to care of my publishers, Head of Zeus probably, because they're very good at passing on letters quickly. That's if you're in this country, in the UK. I live in fear of some of the overseas publishers aren't quite as quick, and I hate getting delayed letters, especially if it's something really important. So yes, probably best to write care of my publishers. I don't have an email address. I mean, you can alternatively email, my website, but it's harder for my agent to keep sending things on, whereas the publishers just do it automatically. And I really hope that he will enjoy The Viper's Daughter. I trust he will when it comes out in April. Thanks for getting in touch. Now we've got a couple talking about Gods and Warriors, my Bronze Age series. There's one from Leo. Please make the Warriors series too. I loved the series and was sad when it ended. Thank you for that, Leo. I've got no plans to, but again, I said that for years with Chronicles, didn't I? So we'll have to see. And there's one from Leah. Leah is, I think, a regular. And this is actually a second one because I'll be coming to another question, Leah, later. But you've got another question. This is the end of the Gods and Warriors series. Did Hylas eventually decide to take the chieftaincy of Messenia after a few years in the wild? Not going to tell you, Leah, but I can answer your second question. How did you choose Hylas's name? Well, it means man of the woods. And I quite like that because he lived in the woods, in the forests, and that's also kind of a link with Torak. So I thought it was quite nice. Now we've got a little miscellaneous collection about sort of contacts and things like that. Sophia wants to get a signed copy of Wakenhurst, doesn't live in the UK, so needs some pointers. Well, all I can say, Sophia, is that I signed a lot of copies for two shops in particular. I signed lots for Hatchards in Piccadilly, and I'm pretty sure they have a mail order service. And I also signed lots of copies for Goldsboro Books. That's Gold, Goldsboro, SBORO, Goldsboro Books. So you might be based in Cecil Court in London, but again, they send out worldwide. So they may still have some left because I did sign quite a lot. Good luck with that. I saw something about what attracts you to writing ghost stories. Someone has just posted, Vicky Brewster's just posted. I don't know. I just always loved being frightened as a child. Ghost stories are incredibly hard to write, and I like a challenge. That's quite a good one, I think. Dark Matter. Libby Ruffle wants to ask, I'm just reading a few that have popped up. Libby Ruffle wants to ask, or says Dark Matter is her favourite book. Did you have as many sleepless nights writing it as I did reading? For a different reason, because it was really hard to write. Somebody else, I can't remember where, asked if I have a favourite comfy chair. And well, less comfy than I used to, where I write, that is, less comfy than they used to be because I've done my back in by writing 20 books in 20 years. So I also have one of those desks that rise up and down. So I stand at my desk like Dickens for some of the time and then sit. So I better go back to these books, these questions, because time is fugiting. Andrew Silk, yes, was wondering if I ever do school visits or FaceTime or Skype discussions. Our year 8s will be studying Dark Matter. Yay, thank you for that. And they loved it. Well, the year 9s loved it, and so you're doing the year 8s. Well, I mean, it's up to the sort of technology side of things. I do school visits when I'm publicising a book, so I haven't got massive plans to do school visits for dark matter or thin air. If we've never really managed to sort of put it together technologically, because it depends on your technology interfacing with my elves technology on the website. But if you're serious, we can certainly try and see what happens. Because I'm talking to you from a computer in my spare room, remote controlled by my elves. So maybe it'll be possible. But I hope they enjoy it anyway. And we've got a couple of questions, sort of writery questions. One is from, I hope I pronounce your name, Kieran V. Weber. I'm a huge fan of Chronicles of Ancient Darkness, also an aspiring writer looking for courses or tutors who can help me sculpt my fantasy saga. Just asking if you do private courses or any courses at all, or can I recommend any? Well, I certainly don't do any courses, I'm afraid, because I'm not a teacher. My sister's a teacher, and I know how skilled being a teacher is, and I know I'm not one. So I couldn't teach, and I don't, because I'm too busy writing. Kieran, I can only tell you what I think. I'm not persuaded a course is the right thing to do. You'd be putting your writing future in the hands of just one teacher, who almost by definition may not be a writer, or very much of a writer, because they're busy teaching instead of writing. I'm probably offending lots of teachers of writing courses now, but I would suggest, you find a book about writing novels. There are lots of books. I can't recommend you any particular one because the ones I used are about 35 years out of date. But there are books which will, from libraries, or just have a look online, which will teach you how to write, and get a couple, 2 or 3. That's going to be a lot cheaper than a tutor. And it's really a question of trial and error. And I think if you worked with a tutor, it's not a very good idea. Writing is a solitary thing, and you need to get used to that and just try on your own. Sorry to sound harsh, but I think that'll save you a lot of money. And then finally, we have Leah, who's been in touch before. In fact, I know, has been on a trip to Rome with her parents. You're now 18. Well, yes, cannot express how happy it would make me feel if you could read my novel once I get it published. Well, that shows optimism and confidence. You're also looking forward to The Viper's Daughter coming out, and possibly thinking of a Wolf Brother tattoo, but thinking of very sensibly of going for a temporary one. I think that's a sensible idea, because then you're not stuck with it. Oh, and I've just been told there's somebody in the chat room who's just had a tattoo. Dalamar, love the Chronicles series. I have a tattoo of the Wolf Brother cover. There we go, you see. Apparently it's a very beautiful one. What was another question from Lindsay, and I'm coming back to you, Leah. What was the hardest thing you ever had to write for a book? Oh, goodness, so many hard things, Lindsay. The climax of Soul Eater was very hard, because I suddenly realised I was doing it from the point of view of Torak spirit walking in a polar bear. And that was pretty hard. I'd sort of boxed myself into a corner there. Climaxes tend to be hard, because you've got to sort of choreograph it. But I don't think, I'll probably think of the answer to that afterwards, and then I'll have to remember it for the next one. Aaron, before I get back to Leah, here's a lovely one. The Wolf Brothers series helped me a lot to grow as a person, especially after my dad died. He was a man in tune with nature, and they helped me stay close to him. Gosh, my question is, did you ever come up with a name for Far? I always wondered. Aaron, I did. I have. I never wrote it down. The secret will die with me, because I think it would be an anticlimax now for you to know it. But yes, I did. Absolutely. But thank you for sharing that. I'm glad the book's helped. Now back to Leah. I was wondering if you had any advice about publishing. Do you know which companies would possibly be willing to accept young adult adventure fantasy novels? And is it better to go for traditional publication or to self-publish? Well, my advice, and it's only mine, is definitely don't go down the self-publishing route, Leah. It's just money spent, and it's not a good idea. In terms of getting published, I actually think 18, and you're not going to like this, is too young. I think you should just relax about getting published. The thing to do is to learn how to write at this stage, and enjoy it. You've got your whole life ahead of you, and there's other aspects to getting published which aren't fun. So, just enjoy the writing. If you're desperate, though, the standard advice I always give, that there are 2 books that you can get, that the writer's handbook or the writer's and artist's yearbook. You can see these are massively out of date, those covers, because I've published, but they list agents and publishers, and they say what kind of books they publish and what form they want to see them. But again, I would suggest you just enjoy the writing. And on that, my best bit of advice is, no, we've done that. Thank you, Elf. But yes, the best bit of advice is put your phone and to one side, ice your email, so that you can just learn to concentrate on the writing. So I hope that hasn't been too severe, Leah, but thank you everybody who's asked great questions, and thank you for the comments that keep coming. I get them in a little strip down my the side of my screen. We have one, Anna Katz. I know that you're traveling a lot for your books. Which one was the most important or interesting journey you've been on? Ooh. I love going to the Arctic. Well, I love the Himalayas for thin air. That was amazing. Anywhere in the Arctic. The Viper's Daughter was fun because I went all the way to Wrangel Island, in far east of Siberia, through the Bering Straits and up north. So it was about as remote as I've ever been. And there was a particular I went up there, which I won't mention now, but that was really fun. Oh, and thank you for saying that the world you created with Chronicles kind of shaped me in a very special way. I'm so glad. All this power. Wonderful. Now, I think now, could you please come to Finland and sign books? Another one. I'd love to come to Finland and sign books. I love Finland. I love Helsinki. If my publishers in Finland invite me, who knows? Yes. I haven't even thought about what's going to happen when The Viper's Daughter comes out. There will doubtless be a little bit of travelling involved. So there we go. I think now we've reached the end of the questions. Oh, before I forget, there is one thing, though, before we get to the final question. A little while ago, I got a letter handwritten from someone called Emma, who's clearly, I think, from her writing, a child. She's illustrated it really beautifully with little books and things like that, and wolves. But there was no address. As you can see, I've written, "You're my favourite author." My favourite book, actually, is definitely The Outsiders. That's Gods and Warriors. She's asking all sorts of really interesting questions about Gods and Warriors, and I think Wolf Brother. But I have no way of answering because she didn't give me an address. Please don't do that. Please, if you are writing a letter, please include an address. Otherwise, I can't write back to you, and it's heartbreaking because poor Emma will think that I've ignored her. On that sad note, let's have something more uplifting. Let's go to the final quiz question, in the Wolf Brother quiz. And, well, this is a slightly tougher one than the previous one. The prize, of course, is the original omnibus edition of Outcast, Oathbreaker, and Ghost Hunter, which I will sign and dedicate personally to you. And it can be with you if you can answer within the next 10 days the following question. When we last see the Walker at the end of Ghost Hunter, what kind of small animal does he have with him named Narek? So if you can email that within the next 10 days to quiz@michellepaver.com, you have a chance of winning that prize, because we'll put all the correct answers in a hat, pick out one to be the winner. And we'll announce the winners on the next show, which will be in a few weeks' time, in about a month. And you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel to get alerts when the next show goes live. Or I hope you can check michellepaver.com. There will be something on there. Until then, to adopt something from Instagram, grow the fandom like the first tree. And thank you for watching. And enjoy the blackberry picking if you live in the UK. And happy reading. Bye-bye.